Part 64. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 631. Chapter 631. Why are you dink? The four elders of the Zhang family were picking fresh fruits in the farmland at the foot of the mountain. This season, pomegranates and autumn oranges were growing well, and there were also some fresh greenhouse vegetables. Their family often had picking activities. The old man peeled pomegranates in the garden. The old lady, pomegranates are very sweet. The two of them were eating the fruit and saw the old man they met while climbing the mountain. He was walking slowly with a young man, talking to the melon farmers about the harvest, the weather, etc. He was very approachable. The old lady and the old man took the initiative to greet them and gave him a taste of the pomegranates they had picked. The three of them had a lively chat. The old man said his surname was Wang, and the old lady and the old man called him Mr. Wang. "Where are your grandchildren?" "We went to play archery," the old man said. "The young people will be separated from us and let them have fun." Old man Wang is very well educated and can chat about history with the old man. After sitting and chatting for half an hour, the old lady was not satisfied, so the old lady went to pick vegetables with Lin Chunli. The young man next to him also went to the fruit farmer to buy hundreds of pounds of pomegranates and autumn oranges to give away. People who come to the hot spring hotel for vacation and rest will buy fruits at the foot of the mountain. The price is slightly higher than the purchase price, and it is cheaper than the fruit market. Much cheaper. Zhang Junlin and Ji Xian didn't know that the old man and his family had met again. They played in the mountains until the afternoon and ate at the farmhouse at the bottom of the mountain at noon. When they came over, the food was almost ready, and the old man warmly invited Mr. Wang to join him. During lunch, they were all locals, and we got along well with each other. We hit it off well. Zhang Junlin's expression was as usual, but he was obviously a little restrained during the dinner. Fortunately, he always had a calm expression and was calm. The old man Wang and the old lady were chatting about history and culture, and the conversation was very speculative. Lin Chunli and the old lady occasionally chatted with him. They knew that he had 3 sons and many grandchildren. He was a very prosperous family. Although he was dressed well, he is very simple and doesn't have any valuables, but his noble temperament is very eye-catching. At first glance, he looks like an old man with a lot of knowledge. When the Zhang family introduced Ji Sun, they said he was their grandson. Zhang Junlin and Ji Sun did not have any intimate behavior during the dinner. They looked like an ordinary family of 6, and no one pointed out. Ji Sun knew who this old man was, so he was hanging on for a breath. He was even more uneasy than Zhang Junlin. Lin Chunli frequently brought him food, and he was often lost in thought. After the meal, the guests and hosts enjoyed themselves. Except for Zhang Junlin and Ji Sun, who ate little and were a little restrained, the others were full of praise for the farmer's dishes. Lin Chunli and the landlady even bought a box of lufa. "Why do you eat so little?" Lin Chunli asked Ji Sun, "is it not to your liking?" She took the initiative to give up asking Zhang Junlin. It was normal for him to eat less. The farmhouse would not specially cook his food. In order to accommodate him, Lin Chunli asked the store to steam a fish and steamed corn and sweet potatoes for Zhang Junlin. "I've had a bit of a stomachache recently. I must be too busy and didn't eat well." Old man Wang also said, "Yes, no matter how busy you are, you still have to eat well. You are still young, so don't ruin your stomach." He knew Zhang Junlin, so he naturally knew Ji Sun. When Lu Ziwen re-established contacts in City A, Ji Sun was the one who went to socialize. His drinking capacity was astonishing, so he naturally drank more. "Yes, I've made a note of it. I'll make sure to take good care of my stomach." After the meal, there was no unpleasantness at all. Old man Wang was smiling all the time. It was impossible to tell how ruthless he was when he was young. He had dealt with countless people, so he had many enemies. Now he has passed the retirement age. Still in office, Zhang Junlin said, it is estimated that it will be difficult to retire. Guanzhidao is not a sinecure. As long as he is in office, his enemies are also afraid of him. After lunch, they parted ways. The family walked slowly up the mountain. Ji Sun peeled pomegranates and fed them to Zhang Junlin. The family talked and laughed. Zhang Junlin and Ji Sun did not intend to bring up troubles that would affect their mood. Gu Zia was afraid that Gu Ci would take off his pants again, so he took special care in recuperating his injuries. He didn't dare to touch the water and applied medicine honestly. Lu Ziwen pressed him to go to Gu Ci to remove the stitches. Gu Zia said, "Dad, you're so miserable. Mom is in the hospital. It's rare to have weekends, so she probably wants to have a good rest. It's hard to see her every day. It's okay if you are busy. You are so leisurely now, and if you don't race, then you'll be doing nothing all day long, and won't you become what others call an idle man?" Lu Ziwen. Having nothing to do, idle. It seems that he was right. He originally thought that he would die young, so he explained everything and wanted to live a leisurely life. Now Lu Ziwen has been thinking about a question: what if he can live a long life? I will retire in my 20s, what side job should I find? You can't give Black Eagle to Ji Sun. He's not dead yet. Ask Ji Sun to come back. There's no such thing. Mind your own business and leave me alone. Lu Ziwen flicked his head. Gu Ci was also very happy to see their father and son. She had been so busy recently that she had indeed neglected them. The day after tomorrow was Friday, so she could have 2 days off. She had also arranged everything in the hospital. She just had to return to the hospital before 10 o'clock on Sunday. Gu Zia's wound healed well. After removing the sutures, he applied medicine to avoid leaving scars. Gu Ci repeatedly warned, as a technician, don't rush to the front line. Pay attention to safety. Next time you get injured, I will take care of you. I know, Mom, noon is coming soon, please treat me to dinner. I can only invite you to eat in the cafeteria. I can. Gu Ci took Lu Ziwen and Gu Zia to the hospital cafeteria for dinner. Lu Ziwen's face caused a sensation wherever he went, and the hospital was no exception. Young doctors and nurses all wanted to see it. The hospital cafeteria had never been so lively. The marriage between Gu Ci and Lu Ziwen was a certainty, and the news spread throughout the hospital. Lu Ziwen did not want to be high profile, but Universal still issued a statement, answering directly to Lu Ziwen's relationship for the first time, admitting that Lu Ziwen and Gu Ci's childhood sweethearts had been in love for many years. When it was revealed that Gu Ci was Lu Ziwen's girlfriend, she was doxxed, humiliated, and scolded. Now the public opinion is one-sided. Childhood sweethearts, well matched, one is a racing champion, the other is a young genius doctor, they have been in love for many years, there is no scandal or scandal, it is a love like a fairy tale. Except for a few extreme fans who are a bit extreme, most of them have a blessing mentality, and some people have begun to synthesize what kind of children will be born with looks like theirs. Gu Zia took a look at the composite photo of the boy, and it looked nothing like him. I'm better looking. The little kid's point of view was different from the others. He was very competitive in appearance. Both Gu Ci and Lu Ziwen couldn't laugh or cry. Gu Zia suffered a lot after the stitches were removed, and was taken directly to training by Qin Wan. Chen Liangdong even went to see Gu Zia once. When he saw Gu Zia being held down and beaten, he felt heartbroken and told Qin Wan to be gentle. Chenju, a stick produces a filial son, and spoiling a son is like killing a son. If you dote on him so much, he will not make any progress. Chen Liangdong thought this was very strange. He wanted to refute it but couldn't find a suitable reason. Poor Zia was covered in bruises and bruises every day, without a good patch of skin. Zhang Junlin suspected that Qin Wan was not good at teaching, and wanted instructors from the training base to come. Qinwan was so angry that he wanted to beat Zhang Junlin for the first time. He actually looks down on her. It's just that it was quite interesting when Qinwan was teaching Guziu. Chen Liangdong would come to see Guziu's progress, and Dr. North would also take a look. The four of them often had meals together. There was nothing much happened after the last blind date introduction. Who knows what they are doing? In private, they even secretly made an appointment for a concert. Recently, the contacts have become more frequent. Gu Xi felt that there was something interesting about Guziu's gossip. Guziu also thought it was interesting. Chen Liangdong, a person with such a clear goal, will not do useless work. He must be very fond of him and be so active. Qinwan was even more optimistic about the success and worked hard to bring them together to create opportunities for them. Lu Ziwen and Gu Xi's affairs are most likely to be settled, and the wedding dress is also in rush. Lu Ziyi and Zhang Minghua will discuss it. Gu Xi is also at home on Christmas vacation. He and Lu Ziwen will come to the house together. The two families will meet, and the Zhang family will naturally, they were willing to do so. Gu Xi and Lu Ziwen both had concerns, but they couldn't explain it clearly to their elders, so they agreed to their arrangement. Lu Ziwen was inexplicably nervous. This was the first time he met his elders. Zhang Minghua and Lu Ziyi had known each other for so many years. Zhang Junlin often came to the Lu family, but Lu Ziwen rarely came to the Zhang family. Firstly, he is busy racing cars, and secondly, he is the third master at night, and the banquets are mostly at night. The third master does not like this kind of excitement. Lu Ziyi knew etiquette better and had prepared all the gifts for them. When a man came to the house for the first time, the gifts should be prepared in pairs. From the old lady to Guziu, everyone had to prepare gifts. Lu Ziwen chose a boxing glove as a gift for Guziu. Lu Ziyi frowned. Isn't it bad? Lu Ziwen said, he has recently learned boxing and it will come in handy. You have never liked children. Why are you so attentive to the Zhang family's child? You take it with you wherever you go, and the media has photographed it several times. When did you like children so much? With other people's kids not liking it, my own kids look cute no matter what, so I naturally like them. Lu Ziwen has a subtle guilty conscience, and I feel very sorry for Lu Ziyi. If he knew about it, he would definitely steal the child. Lu Ziyi was very happy when he saw this. I like children so much. Why are you dink? I will help you take care of them after you give birth, so you and Gu Xi don't need to worry. Don't worry about your bones. Tell me, why are you dink? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 632. Chapter 632, Being a brother-in-law is useless. Lu Ziwen did not argue with Lu Ziyi about this topic. There was no result, so there was nothing to argue about. Lu Ziyi was so angry with his attitude that he was not afraid of being scalded by boiling water, but he still had to be prepared. He still liked Guziu very much. Gu Xi does not have a holiday on Christmas Eve and is very busy. There is a Christmas atmosphere everywhere outside. The hospital is even busier during the holidays. Gu Xi has not had a break for half a month. She can rest on Christmas Day and is busy until midnight. Saw an apple on the desk, and remembered that Lu Ziwen loved apples, so he asked Li Zhang to buy him an apple for the occasion. Lu Ziwen never did anything about Christmas Eve, but he bought a gift for Gu Xi, which was an eye massager. It can be used as a hot compress, which is a great savior for Gu Xi. Using a massager can relieve fatigue very well. Guziu gave Gu Xi a ceramic cup that he had learned to make, one for Gu Xi and one for Lu Ziwen, treating them equally. He has been too lazy to choose gifts recently. When he was learning ceramics, he fired all the finished products, and each of his family members gave them one as a gift. Very lazy. Gu Xi was on duty until 6:30, and Lu Ziwen and Gu Zia came to pick her up. Gu Xi simply washed her face in the dormitory and came out. Her clothes were also a little wrinkled. Living in the dormitory was not as meticulous as at home, so she had no time to clean herself up. Her hair was also too greasy to be seen. Lu Ziwen and Gu Zhi had seen her in the most miserable state, and they didn't care about her disheveled hair. "Are you hungry? Let's go get some breakfast first." "I just want to go home and sleep." Gu Xi was very tired and had no appetite. Lu Ziwen and Lu Zhi originally planned to have lunch, but considering that Gu Xi had to sleep after being on duty all night, they changed it to dinner. He had come again, so Lu Ziwen sent Gu Xi and Zia home, and he and Lu Zhi would come back in the afternoon. Gu Zia was drowsy in the car. As soon as Gu Xi came out of the hospital, he saw Lu Ziwen standing in the cold wind wearing a windbreaker, standing out from the crowd. He had always been the most eye-catching man in the crowd. Gu Xi trotted over and hugged him. Lu Ziwen reached out to catch her. Gu Xi hung around his neck like a kangaroo. Not afraid of being photographed in full view of the public, she lowered her head and kissed him. While on duty for more than half a month, there is nothing more exciting than seeing your sweetheart. Third brother, Merry Christmas. Gu Xi's smile was brighter than the morning light. Merry Christmas, Zia. He hugged Gu Xi and said in her ear, "Peace all year round." The two hugged when for a while, and when they got in the car, they saw Gu Xi sleeping. He raised his eyelids and glanced at Gu Xi, said hello and then fell asleep. He looked like he was going to sleep for a long time. Is Zia unhappy? He just lacks sleep. Last night, he was notified that he was coming to pick up Gu Xi. Ziyu still went to bed late. Gu Xi felt sorry for Ziyu. Lu Ziwen had a rest, slept well and felt refreshed. Gu Xi was also a little drowsy when the car heater blew on him. When she was about to sleep, she was the one who lacked sleep the most. "Want to have some breakfast?" "I really want to have breakfast with you, but you and Uncle Lu are not coming in the afternoon. I want to go back and catch up on my sleep. I'm afraid I won't be able to sleep after breakfast." "Okay, I'll take you home." Lu Ziwen looked at the darkness under her eyelids and felt distressed. "Will your job continue until March?" "The end of March," Gu Xi said. "It's already very good. I will be the chief physician at the end of March. You can't find anyone with such a young chief physician in the country." "That's right, Zia is the most powerful." Gu Xi's scientific research has also yielded results. She has had a double harvest recently. She has always grasped it with both hands. Gu Xi rubbed his ears after hearing Lu Ziwen's rainbow fart. "Dad, when did you praise me? For such a young section chief, I can't find the second one either." Lu Ziwen chuckled. "Are you awake?" "I woke up because of your numbness." Gu Xi thought of a very serious question. "What should I call Grandpa when I see him later?" "Just call me Grandpa, it doesn't matter." "Fine. His names are all random now. Anyway, you just need to know who he calls." Lu Ziwen saw Gu Xi and his son off and left when they met the Zhang family. Gu Xi drank a glass of milk and went back to the room to catch up on his sleep. Gu Xi also took a bath to catch up on his sleep. Ji Xian slept here last night, and they met him early on Christmas morning. Zhang Junlin arranged the garden and living room together. The home had a festive atmosphere. There was a Christmas tree in the garden, full of gifts. There was a gift in each box, and everyone could choose one. Gu Xi woke up earlier than Gu Xi and happily went downstairs to open gifts. Their family did not have the tradition of celebrating Christmas Eve. They bought all gifts for Xiu on Christmas. In addition to the gifts given by the elders in the family, there were also gifts on the Christmas tree. Gu Xiu likes the skateboard that Ji Xian gave him the most. He has been obsessed with many hobbies recently. He got off work early and has no training scheduled, so he likes to skateboard in the community for a while. Ji Sun played with him for more than an hour last night. Gu Zio said, "It's much more thoughtful than me having a ceramic cup for each person. Your ceramic cups are also good, at least the patterns of each cup are different." Gu Zio smiled and was more happy than anyone else to open the gift. After lunch, Gu Ci woke up. No one bothered her during lunch. Lu Ziwen and Lu Ziyi set off from home, and Gu Zio came up to call Gu Ci. Gu Ci didn't sleep enough, she was still a little sleepy, but she couldn't sleep anymore. She got up and washed her face. She felt more energetic. The sound of mahjong came from downstairs. They were playing mahjong in their free time. Gu Ci simply put on a layer of makeup and lipstick, picked out a beige sweater skirt and put it on. When she got dressed and went downstairs, Lu Ziwen and Lu Ziyi were already there, as if they had just chosen one. Everyone from the Zhang family came out to greet them. Lu Ziwen followed Lu Ziyi, and Li Zhang helped carry the gifts. The Zhang family had a large population and many and heavy things. Gu Zio and Ji Xian quickly helped to pick up the gifts. Coming. Lu Ziwen's eyes fell on Gu Ci for the first time and he smiled. Gu Ci actually became a little nervous. Gu Zio called him grandpa abruptly. He and Lu Ziyi were not very familiar with each other. In his previous life, Gu Zio didn't like to meet people. He took him to the hospital to see Lu Ziyi once. Later, Lu Ziyi died of illness. Now he is alive and well. It can be seen that there was a hidden reason behind his death from illness. When Gu Zi met Huan, Lu Ziyi was very fond of him. Now that he saw that the young man was pretty, lively and cute, he was even more jealous. He envied Zhang Minghua for having such a great grandson. Zhang Minghua felt very guilty. Because Lu Ziyi was here, Gu Zi be more careful when it comes to addressing people. Lu Ziwen came to the house formally for the first time, and he was very polite. When it was Zhang Junlin's turn, he stopped calling Gu Ci brother and called him Mr. Zhang. Both families knew that they hated each other and tacitly understood it. Ji Huan secretly tugged on Zhang Junlin's sleeve, hoping that he would give him some face and not show off. Zhang Junlin felt that he had been wronged. He had always been like this and did not show off. Lu Ziwen himself has no points as a brother-in-law, can you blame him? Good night. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 633. Chapter 633 Christmas. The Zhang family is not happy to celebrate Christmas, because Christmas is Zhang Junlin's birthday, which is special this year. Gu Ci is too busy and only has time to go home for Christmas. Lu Ziyi wants to bring Lu Ziwen, so Zhang Junlin's birthday is moved forward. Celebrate Christmas one day early, leaving the two families to meet together. The priorities are clear. Otherwise, Lu Ziyi brings Lu Ziwen here, but it is Zhang Junlin's birthday. There is no distinction between priorities. The Zhang family pays more attention to these etiquettes. Birthdays happen every year. Zhang Junlin didn't mind either. Lu Ziwen is more at ease. Lu Ziyi and Zhang Minghua are old acquaintances. They have many topics to talk about and are not afraid of being left alone. Everyone in the Zhang family likes to watch Lu Ziwen's racing. Especially after knowing the relationship between Lu Ziwen and Gu Ci, they are very concerned about it. Lu Ziwen naturally it was also liked by the Chang family, the scene was harmonious and everyone was happy. Ji Sun helped Lu Ziwen gain impression points both secretly and overtly, and there was no embarrassment at all when the new son-in-law came to visit. Lu Ziwen made another good pot of tea with standard posture and antique charm. The old man and the old lady learned a lot from it and liked it even more. Showing off, Gu Zio clicked his tongue. Zhang Junlin felt the same. At this moment, he had the direct feeling that Ji-sun was indeed raised by Lu Ziwen. When it comes to pleasing the elders, everyone has more experience than the other. One face can get a lot of impression points, and the elders like it. It has everything, and it can be adapted to suit everyone's taste. Even at a young age, people love to drink tea and make tea, which is a representative of the authority. The elderly naturally like it. Gu Ziyu didn't learn a thing or two. He drank the tea as water. Lu Ziwen also showed the old man how to order tea. Braille on the tea foam turned into a painting, which was full of charm. 3 cups of tea and 3 paintings were beautiful. Gu Ziyu pursed his lips. Isn't this just latte art? You do it, Ji-sun couldn't bear to make trouble. Is it easy to pull flowers? He has only drank from third master's hand once. Gu Ci was surprised. You drank once, but I never drank. Gu Ziyu nodded. Neither do I. You are indeed very partial. Lu Ziwen wanted to beat Gu Ziyu, but he endured it, and then each of them made a cup. It tasted just like that, but it looked very good. The finished product could be used as a teaching method and could be recommended to each other by tea-loving friends. On Zhang Junlin's birthday, Lu Ziwen showed some respect by drawing an egg on his teacup. Ji-sun couldn't help but said, "Third master, why don't you draw a cake? Eggs seem to be a curse." Lu Ziwen said calmly, "It is the custom in our country to eat eggs on birthdays." The old man, the old lady and Zhang Minghua all nodded. They didn't like to eat cake at that time, so they celebrated their birthdays with a bowl of longevity noodles and an egg. For people who are not in a good situation, they just boil an egg as a birthday celebration. Zhang Junlin doesn't mind what the tea foam outlines at all. The most important thing is that it tastes good, and everything else is just showy. Xiao Yuan is amazing. Who did you learn this skill from? Can't you learn it in just 5 or 6 years? The old man asked. There were quite a lot of tricks in the Global Racing Championship, so how could he have so much time to learn them? Just study hard for a year, Lu Ziwen replied implicitly. He has loved to study these things since he was a child. When he was learning painting, he shocked the teacher as soon as he started. He bluntly said that he couldn't teach it. The teacher also learned color matching and artistic conception from him. Lu Ziyi couldn't help but praise him. Lu Ziwen has been a child prodigy since he was a child. Everything is very fast, whether it is the third master or the third young master, he has a photographic memory of what he learns. Ziyu is also a child prodigy and has inherited his IQ. Awesome, awesome. The old man said, I am also very interested in teaching you in the future, but I have never learned the essence. This craft is mainly going to be lost. Okay, Lu Ziwen said with a chuckle. Gu Ci smiled and said nothing. Lu Ziwen had a lot of tricks up his sleeve, and he had learned a lot of essentials. The time in the temple was long, and he had no entertainment, so he was naturally eager to learn and pass the time. Lu Ziyi has been well trained. He can race cars, make money, and live a good life. He is really outstanding at a young age. The old lady praised her sincerely, and she praised Gu Ziyu. Lu Ziwen was full marks in the eyes of the Zhang family. No matter what the reason was, he agreed to let Ziyu adopt him to the Zhang family, and the Zhang family accepted this sentiment. Today is Lu Ziwen's home court, so the conversation naturally revolves around him. Zhang Junlin is answering emails on his cell phone. Ji-sun sees this and blocks the conversation. In the afternoon, the elders of the family were chatting, and Gu Ci took Lu Ziwen out to visit the garden. Everyone looked at their backs and had one thought. They were a match made in heaven. They were such a talented man and a beautiful woman. When they saw each other, they couldn't help but say that they were a perfect match. The two of them had grown up together as childhood sweethearts. Ji-sun tried his best to give Lu Ziwen points. The third master had a crush on Miss Gu Ci when he was very young. At that time, Miss Gu Ci didn't like him, and he was very sad. Are you sure? Zhang Junlin was confused. Lu Ziwen had a crush on someone and was quite sad. The Zhang family members were also half convinced as to how such a magical figure could have a crush on Gu Si since childhood. Gu Si was closely hidden by the Gu family and always fought and caused trouble with Gu Chuan. His grades in school were also at the bottom. He was a very troublesome person. Gu Chuan's well-educated and sensible character contrasts with Gu Si's unruly and gloomy character. Even her biological parents don't like her, so how many people outside can like her? It's true, Lu Ziyi had the right to speak. My son liked Xiaosai when he was 7 or 8 years old. At that time, Xiaosai was very lively and would always play behind him. There was a time when Xiaosai was particularly fond of playing. When our family ran away, the housekeeper turned a blind eye. If there was anything good or fragrant, he would send it to Xiaosai immediately. Zhang Junlin broke the news. Why did I hear that Xiaosai hated him so much when he was a boy? Yes, this boy doesn't know how to offend Xiaosai. He is devoted to Xiaosai. If Xiaosai doesn't like him, he is very sad. Ji Huan also nodded. It was their third master who was obsessed with her and chased her for more than 10 years before he caught up with Miss Gu Si. With this wave of operations, Gu Si's face also shines, and the Zhang family's face is restored. Everyone is happy. Zhang Junlin said lightly, it's quite early for me to have the idea. I've been in love since I was a child. Ji Sun smiled and asked, are you envious or jealous? Chang Junlin said, I am neither envious nor jealous. It is contempt. He looked at Ji Xian with half-smiling eyes, and held back the last few words. He had been chasing after a girl for more than 10 years, and had a crush on her for more than 10 years. The sun had to rise in the west. Gu Si took Lu Ziwen for a walk in the garden. The old man was a very sentimental person. There were red plums and green plums planted in the garden. The red plums were still more than a month away from blooming. The green plums bloomed early this year, and the flowers were fragrant. Gu Si took him to enjoy plum blossoms. There were more red plums in City A, but green plums were relatively rare. Lu Ziwen smelled the fragrance of flowers when he walked in, and also noticed that there were green plums in the vases on the windowsill in the living room. It's unique and beautiful. If you want to talk about elegance, you can't find another one in the city. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 634. Chapter 634. Isn't he his son's love rival? I don't know when you learned how to make tea, Gu Si said, it's quite delicious, teach me how to make it next time. In fact, he taught Gu Si. Many years ago, Xiao Si looked interesting and learned, but she was young at that time, had little patience, and was very playful. If she lacked patience, she would not be able to make beautiful camellias. Okay, I'll teach you. It's very easy for Lu Ziwen to please someone. After all, he knows a lot of things, so he just needs to do what he likes. Especially for such an old man and lady who is sentimental and likes history, he can easily do it. There is no need to worry about it, these things are all hidden in his bones. Since he is her elder, she naturally wants to please her. The two of them were admiring the plum blossoms hand in hand. Gu Si's hair was simply pulled up. Today, she specially used a hosta to fix it. The style is very simple. Lu Ziwen picked 2 plum blossoms and inserted them into her bun. People are as delicate as flowers. Gu Si chuckled lightly, smelled the fragrance of plum blossoms, and shook her head slightly. The plum blossoms could not be firmly inserted into her bun and fell on her shoulders. Lu Ziwen also smiled. Gu Si held his arm and sat under the tree. The weather was not yet warm in December. It was extremely cold, and the sunshine was particularly bright. There was a tea table with a meandering water basin not far from the tree. It was the favorite place for the 2 elders of the Zhang family to drink tea in the summer. It's like a dream, Gu Si said. The wind blew and the plum blossoms fell on her shoulders. Goosey Eye just felt that the years were quiet and peaceful. The days passed so plainly and slowly, happy and real. This is something I never dared to think about before day. She didn't dare to dream either. Her dreams were all nightmares. There were very few beautiful dreams. She thought about them every day and dreamed about them at night. Her thoughts rarely entered her dreams. As long as things happened, they continued to enter her dreams. Torture her. Are you happy? Of course. Goosey Eye chuckled and said, my brother is in good health, you are safe by my side, my son has grown up happily, and my relatives are all happy. What could be happier than this? You will be more perfect, Lu Ziwen said, looking at her deeply, you will be more perfect than anyone else. In his next life, he would try his best to make Goosey Eye live a happy life. If he couldn't do it, wouldn't his hard work be in vain? That's good, I'm not greedy, Goosey Eye said, leaning on Lu Ziwen's shoulder, I feel content with what I have, and I feel good. Lu Ziwen held her hand and interlocked with hers. The two of them were like a painting under the tree. Goosey was not too far away from them and took a photo. Parental love is the best spiritual comfort for children. Goosey grew up listening to the love stories of his parents. During the years when Goosey Eye went crazy, Li Zhang would tell him how his parents fell in love with each other. His father died for him and his mother because the relationship was too emotional. Deeply, he couldn't accept his father's leaving, so his mother went crazy. He has never had the concept of how much his parents love each other until this life. The kind of sincere feelings that can only be seen in fairy tales can really appear in ordinary people, Goosey thought. Would he expect it? He shook his head, he was not looking forward to it at all. To love someone and please someone, you must put all your attention on him. Like Dad, like Ji Sun. Forget it. He doesn't want to chase others at all. Xiu has lacked love and been lonely since he was a child. Now he lacks everything, but deep down in his heart there is still a painful and lonely little boy wandering around occasionally. He only wants to please himself and not anyone else at all. Xiu, come here, Goosey Eye hooked his fingers. Goosey put away his phone and trotted over. He liked his current life as much as Goosey Eye. He didn't have Goosey's worries. He didn't know that his father would leave at any time. Seemed happier. There was a vase on the tea table. Lu Ziwen instructed him to cut a few plum blossoms, and then taught him how to arrange the flowers. They were sparse and unique, and the fragrance was fragrant. Goosey also had his hands covered with the fragrance of plum blossoms. Does it look good? Goosey asked. He thought it was okay. His art appreciation ability was still average. Can score a 5 points. You taught me, and I followed you step by step. This is only 5 points, which shows that you are not good as a master, Goosey argued. Goosey Eye laughed. The three of them came back with a vase, and Goosey casually put the vase away. On the windowsill. The room is much warmer. Ji Huan is imitating the tea ordering that Lu Ziwen just played, and is also communicating with Lu Ziyi and the old man. Zhang Junlin is not in the living room and should go upstairs to answer the phone. As soon as Lu Ziwen and Goosey Eye came back, the living room became even more lively. Where is my brother? I got an important call and went upstairs, Lin Chunli said. Ignore him and drink some hot tea. Lu Ziwen and Goosey Eye came back, and the elders sat down and talked about the wedding. Ji Sun mentioned it first. The wedding dress is slow to make. It may take April to be ready. If the deadline is to be met, it will be ready in late March. Ji Sun said it later. The old master's health was not particularly good. Ji Sun asked him not to rush to meet the deadline and work slowly. If he did it himself, it might be done in February. The young man is full of energy, but he has too many things to take care of. Handmade wedding dresses are time-consuming and labor-intensive, so he can only give up the idea. Then the wedding will be arranged at the same time. There will be good days in mid-April and May. What do you think? The old lady asked Lu Ziyi. Lu Ziyi and Lu Ziwen talked about it. We have no objection, April or May is fine. You can get engaged first and tell your relatives and friends. Gu Ziyu blurted out, can we collect that amount of money twice? Everybody. As soon as this topic came up, everyone fell silent. Theoretically speaking, this is true, and red envelopes must be given when attending an engagement. Neither the Zhang family nor Lu Ziyi had ever thought about such a down-to-earth issue. Gu Xi chuckled and said, there's no need for an engagement. We can just get married. One less link, or the two families have a meal together. It's an engagement. No, there won't be a banquet. I listened to Ziyasai, Lu Ziwen is fine with anything. The ceremony is a regret in his heart, but if he is engaged, it is better to get married. He originally wanted to choose Christmas to go and get the certificate with Gu Xi, but Gu Xi is not willing. After asking Gu Siwen for a long time, I have no objection if you want your wedding anniversary to be on the same day as your brother's birthday. Lu Ziwen's scalp went numb as soon as he heard this, and he didn't say anything about getting the certificate. The Zhang family pays more attention to rituals and feels that both engagement and marriage are indispensable. But the newlyweds said that marriage is enough, and they accepted it. It was basically settled, and other things were easier. Lu Ziyi now only has 2 sons, and Lu Shixiu is like a free rein. The Lu family's chaebol belongs to Lu Ziwen, as well as the wealth accumulated by Lu Ziwen when he was at Black Hawk, and the racing industry in the global center, all belong to him alone. The two powerful companies have joined forces, and all the betrothal gifts have been prepared by his own family. There are no special requirements. I want to be a flower girl. Gu Ziyu raised his hand, very excited. It is also common for children to become flower girls for their parents. Ji Sun said with a smile, in half a year, you will be 1.8 meters tall. Those who know you are a flower girl, but those who don't know think you are here to steal your marriage. Don't talk, don't dampen my enthusiasm. Zhang Junlin happened to come down from upstairs. You want to be a flower girl, where can we find a girl of the same age to match you? I'll find it myself, Gu Ziyu said, I'll just pick one of my students. Doctoral student, Zhang Junlin raised his eyebrows, is the flower girl older than the bride? Gu Ziyu. It was a miscalculation. I didn't expect that Gu Xi would dote on him all this time. Okay, I will find you a girl of about the same age to satisfy you. Gu Ziyu was very happy. The more Lu Ziyi looked at it, the more he felt, was this Gu Ziyu too clingy to Gu Xi? It's not like there's a sister-in-love plot, and she wants to be his son's love rival, right? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 635. Chapter 635. Enemies meet on a narrow road. Gu Ziyu never thought that he would be misunderstood by his grandfather when he rushed to be a flower girl. No matter what, the marriage went smoothly. It was a very good marriage. No one from the elders objected and gave their sincere blessings. Everyone was looking forward to the wedding and wished the couple well. There were not many chores or betrothal gifts. They are all reasonable people who worry about dowry. Except for Lu Ziwen and Gu Xi who said they wanted dink. This marriage is really ideal. When Lu Ziyi and Zhang Minghua were walking around the hospital, they asked Zhang Minghua to persuade Gu Xi. If they didn't want to have a baby, they could do in vitro fertilization, artificial cultivation, whatever. The old Lu family wanted a grandchild, and he wanted to have a grandchild. Even if you don't ask for it, he will treat everyone equally. Xiao Ci is so good looking, and Lu Ziwen is also good looking. It would be a waste of genes not to have children, right? Lu Ziyi said seriously, this kid talks about dink so well, I am so worried. Let me state first that there is nothing wrong with Xiaoxi's health and she does not want to have a baby. It must be because Lu Ziwen hates children. Does he hate children? He takes Gu Ziyu with him wherever he goes. If Gu Ziyu is 10 years younger, I would suspect that he is his father. I don't see that he hates children. I think he likes children quite a lot. So, who is the problem with Dink? Zhang Minghua actually doesn't know why, but he has heard Ziyu say several times that he is not allowed to have a second child, which is very domineering. Is it because Ziyu is too domineering and wants to monopolize the love of his parents, so he refuses to have younger siblings? Xiaoxi and Lu Ziwen both have strong opinions. Our opinions may not be that important, I'll ask you later, but I can't guarantee the outcome. Do not worry. Is it possible that they want Dink and you don't approve of this marriage? That's not the case. Then what are you anxious about? I'm old, what's wrong with wanting to have a grandson? Why can't I be anxious? You have such a big grandson, so you can't be considerate and considerate of me. Lu Ziyi glared at him. I've made you a friend in vain. Zhang Minghua felt very guilty. Okay, I will help you ask. Can't afford to offend. Today is Christmas. It is rare for the National Security Bureau to take a half day off. Except for the positions that cannot be separated from people, it is basically a holiday. Qin Wan also tried his best to bring Chen Liangdong and Dr. North together and made an appointment with them to spend Christmas together. Liangdong eats at Liangdong's house, but Chen Liangdong lives alone. In his free time, he likes to cook and raise flowers and plants. There are no vegetables planted in the winter garden, but a green plum plant is also planted, which is very unique. Chen Liangdong was very happy when their mother and daughter came to visit. He made 3 meat dishes, 3 vegetarian dishes, 1 soup and 2 snacks for lunch. He and North were both from the Health Bureau and were not greedy. Qin had a big dinner and was quite happy with it. Qin Wan saw the photos of him and Dr. North after being transformed in Chen Liangdong's study once. He didn't see them this time. Qin Wan smiled and asked, Director Chen, where are the photos in the study last time? Why are they missing? Chen Liangdong deliberately put away the photos because he was afraid of embarrassment. If North asked, he didn't know how to answer. Qin Wan would not open the pot and pick up the pot. I accidentally broke the frame, so I took it to repair it. Oh, what a coincidence, I picked out a frame for you. Qin Wan took out his gift, Merry Christmas. She feels that this is probably her father, so she is closer to him. Even if he is not, it doesn't matter. She likes Chen Liangdong very much. She specially picked the photo frame, which is in line with Chen Liangdong's aesthetics. Dr. North gave a pen, and Chen Liangdong also bought a gift for their mother and daughter. It was a solid color scarf for Dr. North. Dr. North has cervical spondylosis and likes to wear scarves to keep warm in autumn and winter. There is also a plum blossom pattern embroidered on the hem of the scarf. So beautiful that Qin Wan couldn't tell which brand it was after looking at it for a long time. What he chose for Qin Wan was a glass jade bracelet. Qin Wan quickly declined, this is too expensive, I can't have it. I bought it especially for you, let me try on the size of the ring. Chen Liangdong smiled lovingly. His salary was not high, but the second son of the Chen family did not rely on salary, so a bracelet was more than enough. Then I'll accept it. Qin Wan was also generous and put it on after declining it once. The size of the ring was just right. It was obvious that Chen Liangdong carefully selected the gift, and the gifts were the favorites of mother and daughter. In fact, Qin Wan prefers gold and feels that gold retains its value better than jade. When they met last time, they happened to mention that Gu Si's bracelet was very beautiful. Chen Liangdong took it to heart and specially chose the bracelet when choosing a gift for her. It's just right, thank you Mr. Chen. Dr. North watched their interaction with a smile, always as gentle as water. Qin Wan wanted to give them a private space, so she found an excuse to leave after lunch, saying that Jang Junlin had assigned her a task. Before leaving, Chinwan secretly Dr. North said, "I saw a photo of him and someone else when he was young in Bureau Chen's study that day. He said it was his first love. At that time, he disguised himself. That first love had long curly hair and was bleached red. Well, my temperament is very similar to yours, Mom, come on." After she finished speaking, she ran away without seeing North's slightly startled expression. When Chinwan left Chen Liangdong's house, it was still early and she had nothing to do to watch a movie alone. Unfortunately, she met Rong Li, who was watching a movie alone. Unfortunately, the two of them were watching the same show. The two of them stared at each other at the entrance of the cinema, surrounded by couples in pairs, kissing each other. The two of them were alone watching the movie, and the atmosphere seemed a bit strange. "Aren't you on a blind date? Why are you watching a movie alone, and why don't you invite your blind date to watch a movie on Christmas?" "They didn't ask me out either." Chinwan gave a thumbs up. "You are quite arrogant, you want a girl to take the initiative to ask you out. So what? I know why you have failed so many blind dates. Aren't you also a loner?" "I'm not you, and I still hate getting married at my age," Chinwan said with a smile. "I'm young, beautiful, and rich, what do I want from a stinky man? Isn't it nice to be alone?" The two started arguing in front of the cinema, and they didn't mind the passing couples watching at all. Rong Li felt that only women and villains are difficult to care for. He was too lazy to argue with Chinwan. Quarrels were detrimental to his demeanor. He thought silently countless times, bear with her, bear with her. Watching a movie alone at night, and it's Christmas. It's already unlucky to be alone, and to meet an unlucky person. His unlucky index has reached the sky. Chinwan is not that mean, but against Rong Li just be mean and try to tease him. "Do you have any hidden problems? With this face, there should be women who are willing to put up with your bad temper. Why can't you do it? You will know if there is any hidden disease if you try it." Rong Li swallowed all the words he had just silently recited 3 times and was so angry that he babbled nonsense. Chinwan never expected that his words were shocking but normal. Rong Li had always been a vegetarian. Chinwan glanced at his lower body and clicked her tongue. "Forget it, I'm afraid you will hurt your self-esteem." "Rong Li. You two, I think you two are quite suitable. We are all watching a movie together, why would we hurt each other?" A passerby, a couple, watched the whole process of their quarrel. He basically understood what they were saying. These two people were quarreling. He was about to go to a forbidden place, and his little girlfriend secretly lay on his shoulder and laughed for a long time. "Quite funny. Is there something wrong with your eyes? He is the only one who is worthy of me." Chinwan was furious when she heard that he was a good match. This man went on blind dates 30 times a month and was rejected 30 times. How can he be so good? Are you confident enough to be young, white, rich, and beautiful like me? Passerby, excuse me. One sentence attracted all the passers-by to watch. He went on blind dates 30 times a month and was rejected 30 times. There was something wrong with him. But to be fair, among all the men in front of the cinema, Rong Li was the most handsome and imposing. He looks to be the most elite man, and he is dressed in a rich or noble manner. If there is really something wrong with him, maybe he really has a hidden disease as mentioned by Chinwan. Everyone gossiped, and everyone knew it tacitly. Rong Li's face turned dark. He was so angry that he wanted to beat Chinwan violently. He turned around and wanted to leave. But when he thought that he was really gone, didn't it confirm that he was sick? He resisted the gossiping glances of passers-by, and Chinwan gave him a thumbs up. Awesome. What's even more unfortunate is that movie tickets on Christmas night are very popular. Young couples buy tickets in pairs. There are only 2 single seats left for Chinwan and Rong Li to buy. They are unlucky. Sitting together on the ground is simply a bad fate. Mr. Wrongly did not remember the villain's faults and did not argue with Chinwan again. He could win fights and quarrels with Chinwan. However, since the blind date failed, Chinwan had grasped this pain point and was at a disadvantage. Did he have a seizure? Going on a blind date is just a joke to this girl. Chinwan smiled and told Gu Xiao about wrongly watching a movie alone. Gu Xiao asked, "Then who did you watch it with?" Chinwan. She went to watch the movie alone to bring her parents together. Otherwise, why would she come to watch the movie alone during this festive holiday? Who could have known such bad luck? Gu Xiao couldn't laugh or cry, so she told Lu Ziwen, Ji Sun, and Zhang Junlin about the matter. Ji Sun said, "They are a perfect match. They can even choose a cinema to watch movies, and they go alone. This is such a rare fate." Not worthy at all, Zhang Junlin refused to let his cabbage go to the pig. Being rejected every time on a blind date is something wrong. Ji Sun couldn't help but defend him. He just has a bad temper, but it's not so serious. It's because girls have no sense. How do you know about such a private matter? Zhang Junlin asked calmly. Ji Sun. Ah, this. Lu Ziwen didn't say a word. He didn't worry about Rong Lie's troubles at all. Ji Sun was not a headache anyway, so he just wanted to do whatever he wanted. This Christmas was full of joy and sorrow, but Gu Xiao didn't even spend the night at home. She had to go back to the hospital for duty before 10 o'clock in the evening, so after dinner, Lu Ziwen and Zio took her to the hospital. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 636. Chapter 636. The old house is on fire. Zhang Junlin was quite puzzled by this family of three conjoined twins, and gradually became suspicious. Why? Ziyu obviously doesn't want to go at all. Besides, why would a young couple bring a light bulb when they go out for a date on Christmas and then go to the hospital? Lu Ziwen went to pick up Gu Xiao in the morning and woke up Gu Ziyu early in the morning. Gu Ziyu rubbed his eyes and cursed. What's the reason why you have to bring Ziyu with you? Although the marriage was settled, there was still something weird about it. Zhang Junlin was not too entangled. This matter had nothing to do with him after all. He was just confused and troubled. And there was an explosive news after Christmas. When Gu Ziyu held a morning meeting, he found that Chen Liangdong was late and had not yet come to the office. His assistant said that he had something to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau in the morning, but Gu Ziyu didn't take it to heart. Thinking he was going to do some business. At around 10 o'clock, Chen Liangdong finally came, and brought wedding candies and explosive news at the same time. This is my wedding candy, everyone is happy together. Gu Ziyu. So, you go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the certificate? Aren't he and Dr. North dating and in a relationship? Why did you get the certificate? This speed is like riding a rocket. Gu Ziyu was typing to Zhang Junlin, reporting the news. Sooner or later, it would be spread throughout the world. North was now the third in command of the Jida. Besides Zhang Junlin and Gu Xiao, North was the one who ended up marrying Chen Liangdong. The impact was huge, but they didn't seem to mind. Zhang Junlin knew the news before North went to get the certificate. She sought Zhang Junlin's opinion. Zhang Junlin nodded, and then North agreed to get the certificate with Chen Liangdong. Gu Ziyu felt that the whole world was magical, and Qinwan was still missing. This was explosive news, and it was also in the National Security Office. Chen Liangdong was obviously not a marriage. If it was a marriage, it would have been a long time ago. How could it be delayed until middle age? It must be true love, and my face was full of joy when I came with wedding candy. This wedding candy was also prepared temporarily, like buying it in a supermarket gift box. Old man, you are so quiet about doing big things. You can accomplish such a big thing. How did you pass the trial? Guzio was in disbelief. The procedures for getting married at Chen Liangdong's level were complicated. North is an extremely righteous person. In a system, there is no problem with political review. She has been in prison. Guzio's eyes widened, and he was about to be stuck on this point. That was an unjust case. It has been vindicated. There is no such case in the system. Chen Liangdong's face was full of joy. To be serious, there was something wrong with North's identity and he would never pass the trial. But he didn't say anything about what happened back then. No one knows about it, even Zhang Junlin doesn't know. Now that North's identity is innocent, what happened during her years with Chen Geng has long been done by Zhang Junlin. It was the Yuda who sent North to Chen Geng. For those who worked as undercovers around me, this story came true. In order to transform at that time, all problematic identities were corrected. If Zhang Junlin's identity hadn't been revealed and everyone had their identities, North and Chen Liangdong would never have been able to get married. After Chen Liangdong received the certificate, he thanked the National Security Bureau countless times for clearing the identities of all the members of the Jida. He is so far-sighted. Otherwise, just review this layer and block them directly. Guzio found it incredible. When he and Gu Ci matched up Chen Liangdong and North, they thought they were a good match and could be old companions, but they never expected to get married. After all, they were older and had no shortage of one. Certificate. Unexpectedly they got married without saying a word. Since North was a high-ranking member of the Yakuza, Chen Liangdong had to think carefully if he really wanted to get married. Chen Liangdong was a little surprised after hearing Guzio's words, "If you don't consider marriage, why should I try to get in touch with her? I thought you and him could be old companions without getting married." Chen Liangdong chuckled, "You brat, who taught you such irresponsible behavior?" Guzio thought to himself, isn't this the thinking of ordinary people? Chen Liangdong has thought it through and made a report long before he started. If he started without being clear and then told others that we couldn't get married, that's not how things would be done. Guzio gave a thumbs up. He is a person who never thinks about his whole life. He is also a young man. Naturally, he does not have the character of Chen Liangdong to make a complete plan before starting. Before the wedding candies were distributed, Chen Liangdong answered a phone call. The phone kept ringing. This matter must have spread. Chen Liangdong reported it to his superiors and was kept secret. Now that the bomb has exploded, he has to deal with the follow-up matters, but no matter what, today is his first day of marriage. Even if Chen Liangja cursed while he was ill, Chen Liangdong was still very happy and in a rare good mood. The news spread slowly from Black Hawk, and everyone knew it by noon. Not to mention Ji Sun, Lu Ziwen was quite surprised. Wrongly returned to Universal at around 10 in the morning and was a little confused when he heard the news. "You didn't go home after watching a movie last night?" Ji Sun asked. "Why do you smell like alcohol? How much did you drink?" "Don't argue, I have a headache." Wrongly rubbed his eyebrows. "Are you sure about the marriage?" "It's absolutely true," Ji Sun said. "The news has spread throughout the world, there is no way it is false." Wrongly said, "Jida is really impregnable now. You and Zhang Junlin, Gu Ci and Third Master, and North and Chen Liangdong, aren't these typical marriages? Why do I feel that Zhang Junlin has played a big game of chess?" "Are you sure this game of chess was played by my brother?" Ji Xian glanced at the Third Master. "Why is it more likely that the Third Master played it?" "Your brother? It's disgusting." Wrongly was already hungover and pretended to be vomiting. Lu Ziwen never thought that Chen Liangdong and North would get married, and Zhang Junlin certainly didn't think about it either. They had had some hints of dating since they were on a blind date, and they also thought that they would be old companions, but who knew that the fire in the old house would be more serious than they imagined. Lu Ziwen said, "This matter has nothing to do with us, so ignore it. This is something that Chen Liangdong and Zhang Junlin have to worry about. This invisibly increases Zhang Junlin's bargaining chip. North has to ask Zhang Junlin before getting married. If Zhang Junlin doesn't nod, she won't get married. This is enough to show that Zhang Junlin always said that he could make the final decision on all matters concerning marriage, so Lu Ziwen was completely relieved. In-laws are still very strong. If it weren't for the fact that big families in ancient times were so keen on marriage, this would be the reason. Gu Xi and Gu Ziu had the same idea. When they went on a blind date, they thought they were old companions. They really didn't expect that they would get married. Gu Xi called North during the lunch break and said, "Master, happy wedding, congratulations." Dr. North was very embarrassed, as the marriage would have a big impact, but after talking about it last night, Chen Liangdong pulled her into getting married. She couldn't resist him, so Zhang Junlin agreed, so he just mustered up the courage to get the matter done. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 637. Chapter 637 Blood is thicker than water. Chen Liangdong gave North the key to his home early in the morning. On the first day of their wedding, he had absolutely no intention of separating. North lived near University A. In addition to being in charge, she was also a professor at University A, leading doctoral students in scientific research. Is also a key scientific research project of the medical school. It takes half an hour to drive from Chen Liangdong's home to University A. Although the distance is 20 kilometers, it only takes less than 30 minutes to drive because of an elevated highway. An elevated highway runs through it. Chen Liangdong originally to accommodate North, she wanted to teach at University A and planned to move in with her, but North didn't want him to move. There was the family home over there, and they were all in the same circle, which was Chen Liangdong's social circle. The small building was very warmly decorated. It felt like home at first glance. She had been wandering for so many years, and it was just a house. Qinwan doesn't live with her yet. Their mother-daughter relationship is much closer, but they don't live together. Qinwan is older and has her own private space. She doesn't want to live with her elders. She occasionally lives with Gu Xi in Lanshan Villa. Living alone most of the time, North planned to move in with Chen Liangdong. Years of misunderstanding and estrangement have been eliminated, and we are newly married. No one wants to be separated. Chen Liangdong sent her a message before he was called away by Lao Wang, and he would move with her after he finished handling the matter. There were very few things in the North family, only books were the bulk of them. North called a few Gdao subordinates, and they were gone in 2 hours. After packing, they moved to Chen Liangdong's house in the afternoon. It was already afternoon when Qinwan saw the news. She was the last to know about her parents' wedding. "I have class in the morning, and I was arrested for doing research." Qinwan looked depressed. He was still surprised when he saw the freshly issued marriage certificate. "You are the hard-working people, and you are getting married now. Does this count?" "Engage." North chuckled and put the marriage certificate away. "It doesn't count. They have known each other for many years. Chen Liangdong is 10 years older than North, and he is already more mature than North. When they were in love, they were pretending to be real, and they were very attentive to each other. Her leaving without saying goodbye put an end to the relationship. She actually recognized Chen Liangdong many years ago, but she never meant to recognize him. Due to their different identities, North wanted to explain clearly what happened back then. There were many reasons why she left without saying goodbye. She discovered his secret but never reported it to him. Later, due to a strange combination of circumstances, Chen Liangdong was almost arrested. Everyone it was said that North betrayed him and betrayed him. Maybe he thought so at the time, but he still remembered him for so many years. The past is a mess, but it is all in the past. Big mistakes have been made. We cannot turn back time, we can only move forward. She and Chen Liangdong are still in love, so why waste time? She was only 18 years old when they fell in love. In the blink of an eye, she was already in her 40s, and her daughter was about to graduate with a master's degree. Qin Wan smiled and asked, "Mom, do I want to change my words?" "Oops, I forgot." "Forgot something?" "Forgot to tell him about you." "But you didn't tell me who my dad is," Qin Wan joked. "Did you forget to tell me too?" After the books and luggage were moved in and the Yakuza people left, North slowly sorted out the books and clothes. Over the years, she had more experience than Gu Ci. She never had a stable day from her youth to her youth. Chen Geng imprisoned, tortured, and forced her to be to harm others. She was talented and was trained by Chen Geng to become a genius doctor. After setting up a trap to kill Chen Geng, she became pregnant and gave birth to a child. In order to protect her daughter, she sent Qin Wan away, and her mother, the daughter and daughter were separated for more than 10 years. They were loyal to Zhang Junlin. In order to be free, they betrayed Zhang Junlin and almost killed him. In order to avenge their daughter, they went to jail and wanted to die together with their enemies. Her life was so bad that she never I have thought about surviving a desperate situation, but for Gu Ci and Zhang Junlin. Zhang Junlin rescued Qin Wan, and Gu Ci rescued her. Her life has gradually stabilized in the past few years. She only wants to repay her kindness and be loyal to Zhang Junlin. She has never had any delusions. When Zhang Junlin's identity was not exposed, Qin Wan was a knife beside him. She was not sure what Qin Wan would do. After all, there was a huge difference between Chen Liangdong and their mother-daughter status. After she and Qin Wan settled down, it seemed that Qin Wan didn't seem to be longing for his father's love. This matter was originally planned to be rotten in the stomach, but Chen Liangdong didn't expect that even if he didn't recognize her, but he had a crush on her again. In fact, no matter how deep the feelings were back then, there were still many concealments and expectations. After so many years of life and death, and struggling to survive, she was exhausted, and she really didn't want to recall what happened back then. So tired. Now, everything is getting better, and there is no hiding it. She and Chen Liangdong talked all night, and they reunited after a long separation. Their emotions were quite complicated. They were so young back then. They had been separated for more than 20 years, and things had changed. Even if they were in front of each other, they didn't know each other. They talked a lot, but I forgot to mention Qin Wan. Chen Liangdong didn't think of asking Qin Wan. He only asked about North's affairs in the past few years, where he went after they parted, what he did, what he saw, how he met Zhang Junlin, how he reached the extreme level, as if he wanted to participate in all her affairs that year. "So, is he my dad?" Qin Wan was overjoyed and snapped his fingers. "I knew it. I felt very friendly the first time I saw him. He, I also have a father. Wow, I have a backstage. Suddenly I have a big supporter, which is a great joy in my life." North couldn't laugh or cry. Fortunately, although her daughter had experienced some twists and turns, she wasn't as miserable as she was. Qin Wan's character was nothing like North, more like Chen Liangdong in his youth. When he was young, Chen Liangdong was not as calm as he is now. Qin Wan wanted to set off firecrackers to celebrate this event, but also thought about her parents' wedding. "Then I won't disturb you. You newlyweds should get to know each other well. After all, we have been apart for so many years." She ran down the stairs briskly, then looked back, as if remembering something. "Mom, can I expect my younger siblings?" North said expressionlessly, "Are you going to let us be laughed at to death?" At such an old age and having a second child, Chen Liangdong was afraid of being laughed to death. "Oh, what's so funny?" People will only envy my dad for being strong and healthy. I'm leaving. Chinwan ran away after being naughty. North didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and continued to display her books. Chen Liangdong also has a lot of books. There are a pile of books in the hall on the first floor, a pile of books in the study, and a pile of books in the entrance hall on the second floor. The bright sunlight swept in from the windowsill, and the dusty light reflected the smile in North's eyes even more. The days are indeed getting better day by day. Mr. Wang is already in his 60s, 20 years older than Chen Liangdong. He is Chen Liangdong's old boss. After learning about his marriage, he was the first to find Chen Liangdong. Chen Liangdong has always been in Mr. Wang's group, with tough tactics and ruthless methods. Made many enemies. Mr. Wang has always known about him, and he tried his best to hide it back then. After knowing that he got married, he was very angry, thinking that he had something to do with the Yakuza, and scolded him when they met. Even with his age, he still curses with anger. Sufficient. Your wife is also loyal to Zhang Junlin. It's not good for you to marry her. If you marry her, isn't Zhang Junlin's bargaining chip enough? You must give me another one. Had he not been familiar with Chen Liangdong's personality and his temperament, Mr. Wang would have felt that Chen Liangdong was going to betray him. Chen Liangdong listened obediently to the scolding and then told what happened between him and North. Uncle Wang, I have only had this wish for so many years. Back then, I searched all over the place and couldn't find anyone. I searched for him for 20 years and there was no news. I thought there was no hope in this life. I didn't expect that I would be able to survive in my old age. I got what I wanted, and I worked hard for Homeland Security. I gave up my lover and my family. I have a clear conscience now. It's dark when I come home from work every day, and I can't get a bite of hot rice or soup. When it was cold, no one brought me clothes, when it rained, no one brought me an umbrella, and when I died in the war, no one even sent me a coffin or threw tiles. I also wanted to have a home, with a close person by my side. She and I missed each other for 26 years. I don't want to waste any more time. If Wang Shu feels it's inappropriate, I can resign and retire early. Chen Liangdong holds a high position of power, but his words were filled with tears, and those who heard them shed tears. In front of Mr. Wang, he was like a junior. Mr. Wang was 20 years older than him, and he was his elder. He didn't pay attention to etiquette. Playing the emotional card can move people's hearts even more. Mr. Wang was also saddened by what he said, but he still felt that it was inappropriate. However, Chen Liangdong had to strike first and then tell the truth. Looking at this old house on fire, it seems that it is burning out, but it doesn't look like it can be persuaded. The G-Dao has more and more say. What should we do about this matter? Chen Liangdong said, in the past few years, I have been sending people to secretly observe Zhang Junlin's every move. His words and deeds are also recorded in the book, and all the call recordings between him and Ji Xian are also backed up. He distinguishes between public and private affairs, and is determined. He is not the pillow can be moved by the wind. It can be seen from his phone call with Ji Sun that they are childhood sweethearts. They did not cut it off cleanly at the beginning, but now it is difficult to get involved. As long as the Udao stance is firm and there are no problems with their functions, there will be no problem. That's what we should be worried about. Chen Liangdong poured a cup of tea for Mr. Wang. It's not because of my wife, I speak for Zhang Junlin. When my brother failed to kill Zhang Junlin abroad, I was thinking that Zhang Junlin did not make any mistakes, nor did he make any mistakes. Why was he convicted of something that was detrimental to Ji Dao's interests just because of his relationship with Ji Sun? Are we being too authoritarian? He may be soft-hearted because of Ji Sun, but I believe he is not. He will do things that are detrimental to the interests of his family and the country. This is his bottom line. Now, Most of Black Eagle's assets have returned to China, his accounts are clear, he has paid taxes legally, and he has brought back more than 200 technology patents, and he is willing to share them with domestic technology. Accelerated our construction, and they are tied together. If we do not change our stance and ideas and insist on going our own way, it will only backfire. You know, Black Hawk Industries' return to China is the move I fear the most. When we first came back, we were happy to see the results. The Jida eliminated an invisible opponent. But a few years later, I found something was wrong. Black Hawk Industries returning to China invisibly opened up a protective umbrella for Zhang Junlin. Anyone who wants to touch Zhang Junlin must think twice. This is the most terrifying place. The desire for power erodes people's hearts. Once people have the power of life and death, they will change. Who can guarantee such good things? Can the situation last forever? But no one can predict that the future will definitely get worse. Changes are unpredictable. It can be good or bad. We just have to be defensive. Chen Liangdong said, I never recommend sentencing based on suspicion. I originally thought that Kuoan could contain him, but now you have married north. Actually, I made a very smart move. Ziyu was in Kuoan. I had doubts about his relationship with the Zhang family. I did a genetic comparison between Ziyu and Zhang Junlin and found that they are related by blood. Although they are not biological sons, they are also relatives. Zhang Junlin will not have children, and Ziyu is the heir to the Zhang family. As long as he is in Kuoan, he will be Zhang Junlin's biggest check. The higher Ziyu's status, the more jealous Zhang Junlin will be. When he was training Ziyu, he never thought about him. As the situation became more and more complicated, he talked to Gu Ziyu. Gu Ziyu also knew what kind of role he played, so whether it was the underworld eagle, or Jidao, they can't say that if Gu Ziyu were to change places, he would dedicate his life to the motherland. Is this why you took Gu Ziyu with you in the first place? Chen Liangdong was silent for a few seconds and nodded, yes. When talking to your boss, you must be skillful, tell the truth and tell the truth. Even if the goal is the same and the position is the same, the people they want to protect are different. Similar things will never happen again, Mr. Wang said, let me think about how to deal with this matter. Then, should I still resign? When you leave office, who will meet you? Yes, I promise to bring him up, Chen Liangdong said, this child is a talent, very capable, and almost as smart as a demon. The only thing he lacks is that he is not mature enough and has a bit of a childish temper. He is truly a child. Yes, it's my fault that I pushed back the seedlings, Chen Liangdong said cheerfully, Uncle Wang, don't worry, I will definitely train him to become a qualified heir. Coming out of the conference room, Chen Liangdong broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't say a word correctly. Everyone's ending is different. To say he wasn't nervous would be a lie. They are all old foxes, it just depends on who is more skilled. He looked up at the sky. The blue sky, white clouds, and sunshine were all beautiful on the first day of the wedding. Bureau Chen, go home and return to the office. Go to Nanjing Hospital. Chen Liangdong was destined to have a restless day. He had to run around everywhere. Gu Ziyu was in the office with his legs crossed and eating melon seeds. He was following a task. The brothers and sisters in the office asked him what Chen Liangdong's wife was like. Go check it out yourself. Gu Ziyu chewed melon seeds speechlessly, isn't this a small matter? They have such high authority, and all the calls between Uncle and Ji-sun have been backed up. Isn't it easy to check this little thing? We don't dare. What are you afraid of? Gu Ziyu frankly retrieved the information from the Civil Affairs Bureau, let's take a look. Everybody. In addition to the necessary positions, a group of people came together to gossip, and almost pushed Gu Ziyu out of his chair. Oh my God, old men and cows eat young grass. Those who know our old husbands and young wives, Those who don't know think they are the girl and her father. MRS Bureau Chen looks like she is in her 30s. More than 40 years old, only 10 years younger than the old man. The old man looks older, and the lady looks younger. So women still need to take care of themselves. We work with computers every day and stay up late. Of all the departments, we, the people in the National Security Bureau, are the ones who show their age the most. You still despise the old man for showing his age. You look about the same as you're 50 when you are 30, and you are older than my dad. Without such personal attacks, what can we do if we stay up late every day? People on the front line also have day and night reversed. But frontline agents can exercise, but we just stay up late and eat fat without exercising. Guzia watched as the topic became more and more biased. You guys are really boring. My wife is extremely powerful, and her position is not low. She is the third in command, and she is still a professor at University A. The old man has not even become a professor, so he has reached a high level. Everyone laughed, and Guzia closed the page. Wait, doesn't she have a daughter? A colleague discovered the blind spot. The old man buys one and gets one free, and the wife and daughter are all included. Not biological. Guzio secretly thought that he was not his biological son. Qinwan liked the old man very much, and this was probably the only treatment he received from his biological father. Chen Lianzhu had been discharged from the hospital, but he was so angry that he went to the hospital again. As his chief surgeon, Gu Ci was very speechless. You are still angry at your age. Take care of yourself. You are going to be to death. Everyone, it saves all the trouble. Chen Lianzhu was so angry that he couldn't catch his breath and almost lost his temper again. Gu Ci gave him a Valium to calm his mood. Chen Lianzhu pointed at her and asked, "Did you already know that they were going to get married? I'm more shocked than you. I wanted to know earlier, so I went to get married. I'm more surprised than you when I heard the news. Don't be pretentious, it was you and Qinwan who arranged their blind date." "We arranged a blind date, not a marriage," Gu Ci retorted. "Your brother is also overbearing. Your younger brother is old enough to be a grandfather, so you don't care who he marries. Don't talk sarcastically here. It's not good to marry anyone. Marry north." Gu Ci really wasn't speaking sarcastically. She felt quite wronged. Chen Liangdong arrived in time. Gu Ci said congratulations sincerely and left. She had an operation. After the operation, the nurse said that Chen Lianzhu fainted from anger. The rescue was quite timely. Gu Ci felt that the temper of the old men was true. They were all bad, but her grandfather had the kindest temper. When she left the operating room, Chen Liangdong had left, and Gu Ci didn't have time to say hello to him again. She couldn't get out of the hospital recently, and she didn't have a holiday for the new year. She still had to prepare a gift for North's wedding, so Zhang Junlin helped her prepare it and send it to Chen Liangdong's house together. Ji Sun and Rong Li had afternoon tea together. Rong Li had a bad temper all day and scolded a little girl to tears. This is how his reputation for being a gentle and handsome but domestically violent man spread. He put on a suit and put on glasses are enough for a thug. The Jida is quite interesting. The marriage of several powerful people has stabilized their status. Do you think it's wonderful? Ji Sun sighed with emotion. Rong Li said with a dark face, "It would be great if you rush thousands of miles to deliver me." "How come you feel like you're on gunpowder?" Ji Sun said. "You went to watch a movie alone last night and drank alone." Rong Li looked at him with a strange expression. "You haven't heard." "What should I hear?" "You haven't heard anything. You learned bad things after you returned to China. You told half of the story and hid the other half." Ji Sun said, "The third master's marriage is almost settled. There should be no twists and turns in the future." Third master's weird physique is hard to describe. They had discussed privately that Lu Ziwen should be the strongest man in the world, but in the end he received the most severe beatings, and bad luck always followed him. Don't be so talkative. New Year is coming soon, will you go to Jiang's house to spend it? I'll accompany you so that you won't be left alone. I understand, just go away. Rong Li mocked with a cold face, you say this every year, but you don't see anyone every year. Ji Sun felt that he was very wronged. There were emergencies every year, so he went to find Zhang Junlin. He spent Christmas with Zhang Junlin on his birthday this year. Let's spend the new year at Universal. Lu Ziwen might go back to the Lu family. Why don't you and San? It's okay to go to the Lu family. Rong Li doesn't have much affection for his family, so it's good if he doesn't cause trouble during festivals. No, I have arrangements. If you have other plans, we won't take a vacation. Haha, Rong Li thought for a while, designed some new clothes for me recently. What do you want new clothes for? I don't even deserve to wear new clothes. Ji Xian once again confirmed that Rong Li's tone was really irritating and he was definitely on the verge of dynamite. In order to avoid hurting innocent people, he had better not continue to criticize. He just asked casually. After all, Rong Li had never asked him for new clothes. His clothes were also customized by Long Fenglu and made by other designers. Ji Sun had never made clothes for Rong Li. How many sets do you want? Tell me. Ji Xian felt that he had to be more generous. After all, Rong Lixing was quite pitiful for going to the movies alone. Rong Li finally calmed down. When Chen Liangdong came home at night, he found that a light was turned on and a bottle of green plums was placed in the living room. The aroma came from the kitchen. She was making chestnut roast chicken and mixing noodles. The aroma spread all the way to the outside of the hall. Chen Liangdong washed away his tiredness. After returning home for so many years, Chen Liangdong felt particularly bright when he smelled the aroma for the first time. Someone was waiting for him. He opened the door quietly and stood at the door looking at her. North had noticed it a long time ago, turned around and said with a smile, "Wash your hands and eat, I have something to tell you." Okay, Chen Liangdong put down his briefcase and went to wash his hands. New incense and hand sanitizer were also put in the guest bathroom on the first floor. There was duck and bamboo shoot soup on the table, and North made 1 meat, 2 vegetarian and 1 soup. Chen Liangdong hugged her, chuckled and said, "Let's do it together next time." He also likes to cook. Okay, North smiled gently and clapped his hand away, "Let's eat." I haven't cooked for a while, so I'm a little rusty. Don't you usually cook? I eat in the cafeteria. Dr. North served him soup. In fact, she felt very sorry for Chen Liangdong. He was only 10 years older than her, but he looked very hard-working. She wanted to be nice to him, so she put Chinese medicine in the dishes. Are all recipes that warm and nourish people? Why didn't you let Qinwan come over to have dinner with you? Is it because she can't accept our marriage? I should tell her personally. I'm too busy today and I didn't even have time. They only care about their own happiness and forget about their child. Qinwan's child has a lot of personality. She is willing for them to go on a blind date, so she probably won't object to their marriage. I was about to talk about Qinwan. North said softly, "Don't worry about her, she likes you very much, and also, blood is thicker than water, how could she not like you?" Chen Liangdong. Today there is an update of 15,000. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 638. Chapter 638, Have a drink with me. Chen Liangdong had never thought about Qinwan since he recognized Dr. North. On the first day of his wedding, he was scolded by his old boss, and brother. He was running around and dealing with some emergencies, so he had no time to think about Qinwan. Late thing. Chen Liangdong was famously a thorn in his side when he was young. He was a soldier that every boss refused to hire. He was very capable but difficult to discipline. Over the years, everyone thought that he was stable and did things properly. He never made any mistakes. Who would have thought that at such an old age, he would start acting like a monster again, and it would be a big wave. Everyone has a headache, but they feel that it is expected. Chen Liangdong has been stable for so many years, and they have been used to it for so many years. I have forgotten what a troublesome person he was back then. Therefore, the leader, old leader and Chen Lianzhu occupied all Chen Liangdong's time. When he came back to his senses, he thought about Qin Wan, but he did not consider whether Qin Wan was his child. North's detailed information was in Jidao, not in Kuoan. Chen Liangdong always thought Qin Wan was Chen Geng's daughter. Many people thought she was Chen Geng's daughter, so North was cold to her and sent her away without seeing her for many years. Chen Liangdong suddenly heard Dr. North say that blood is thicker than water. He was stunned for a moment and could not recover. He looked at North with a rare blank look, as if he did not understand what she said. North gave him a chopstick of vegetables, chuckled and said, "Her eyes are so like yours." Chen Liangdong's eyes turned red instantly, and he grabbed North's hand excitedly. Is she really my daughter? You can go get a blood test with her." Chen Liangdong's head shook like a rattle, and he suddenly stood up excitedly, pacing around the dining table, rubbing his hands nervously, sometimes clenching his fists, sometimes placing them uneasily at his sides. He was like a young man who had been poor all his life and suddenly became rich. Didn't know how to deal with the wealth for a moment, his eyes were red with excitement. North looked at him tenderly. Who doesn't like the happy event of blood connection? Will she like me? Will she accept me? Chen Liangdong said incoherently, I was too harsh on her. I should be gentler to her. I didn't know she was a daughter. I didn't know. I should recognize her at a glance. How come I been under your nose for so many years and yet you didn't recognize me? North stood up, hugged him tenderly, and patted his shoulder gently. Chen Liangdong's tears fell on her neck. He hugged her hard and called her the old name, Sang, I'm sorry, so I have suffered for many years. North breathed a sigh of relief. Chen Liangdong didn't do anything wrong. It was her who left without saying goodbye. She had too many last resorts and many unspeakable difficulties. Chen Geng's knife was still lying across her neck, and she could see blood whenever she moved. That was the most vivid memory in her youth. Every time she suffered in prison, she relied on hatred and that memory to support her. If her identity had been disclosed back then, Chen Liangdong's mission in North America would have failed, and he would have been killed by Chen Geng. That was Chen Geng's territory. She could only leave without saying goodbye, keeping this past event in her heart, and no one could reveal it. Character. No one is sorry, Dr. North said. Everything is getting better. But they wasted more than 20 years. She likes you very much. Chen Liangdong stabilized his violently fluctuating emotions. Does she? No. North smiled and nodded, wiping away his tears with his fingers. I just found out that she said that we are newlyweds and we are reunited after a long separation, so she won't disturb us for now and will reunite with us in a few days. Don't worry, we have a long time to come. Chen Liangdong kissed her forehead gently. Sang, thank you. He has a daughter. I thought I would be childless for the rest of my life, but who would have thought that my wife and daughter would have been with me for a long time, and my daughter was raised so well, with an open and bright personality, and is excellent in everything. When neither he nor Qin Wan knew anything about it, he regarded Qin Wan as a junior, and Qin Wan also liked him very much. This was his nature. Very nice. People feel refreshed during happy events. Chen Liangdong said, Sang, come have a drink with me. Okay. He has been sober for 20 years. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 639. Chapter 639. He is my son. There were 3 days of New Year's holiday. In fact, it was only one day off. Guozio felt that he had missed out on the New Year's holiday because Gu Ci had to be on duty. Lu Ziwen didn't want Gu Ci to spend the New Year alone in the hospital, so he took Guozio to the hospital to accompany him. Gu Ci is celebrating the Chinese New Year. Who wants to spend the Chinese New Year in the hospital? Guozio had no choice but to pinch her nose and agreed. Gu Ci thought it was good that the father and son did not come. She could concentrate on the ward rounds and operations without disturbing each other. But she couldn't stop Lu Ziwen's enthusiasm. Guozio complained several times. Lu Ziwen went in one ear and out the other. Guozio secretly asked Chen Liangdong if there were any recent cases that allowed him to travel. He really doesn't want to be his parents' light bulb. The main reason is that he doesn't want to be dug up early in the morning and sent back at night. Only he knows the suffering of the tool man. It's the Chinese New Year, everything is peaceful, and there are really no cases to travel for. Chen Liangdong chuckled and said, "If you are really bored, you can go to the big camp for training." Forget it. Chen Liangdong was originally going on a business trip to accompany Mr. Wang abroad. However, this was the first time for his family of 3 to celebrate the New Year. Mr. Wang specially approved it and allowed him to take a holiday. He took Zhang Junlin away. Chang Junlin. This is absolutely an unforeseen disaster. Mr. Wang has often called Zhang Junlin over since that mountain climb. Zhang Junlin didn't know what he wanted to do. He couldn't figure out the old fox's tricks and couldn't refuse. He had to be there whenever he was called. He was still on a business trip to Saudi Arabia. Ji Sun inquired about the reason. Zhang Junlin shook his head. He didn't know. Generally, when Mr. Wang goes abroad, there will be news. But although the news is not false, it is probably just a smoke bomb. Zhang Junlin may land before no. Guozio and Gu Ci will celebrate the New Year in the hospital, and he will also go abroad. Only the elders are left in the family. Ji Xian has promised to celebrate the New Year with Rong Li. He is thinking about letting Rong Li do it again. Who knows the elders of the Zhang family? Seeing that the juniors were not at home, Ji Sun had also said a few days earlier that he would celebrate the New Year with friends, so they got up and traveled to Haikan to celebrate the New Year, bringing their aunt with them. Her condition has improved slightly recently, and Mrs. Zhang has also put aside the years of estrangement and is in love. As he was about to die, he didn't want to worry about it. The family went out to relax and reunite for the last time. Zhang Junlin went on a business trip with Mr. Wang this time. Ji Xian's eyelids kept twitching for fear of something unexpected happening, and he couldn't bring too many guards. He had his own team, and only gave him 2 positions. Zhang Junlin brought Zhang Qiang and a group of guards. Zhang Junlin was protected by a personal guard and did not take anyone else with him. Zhang Junlin also felt uneasy. If something unexpected happened if he went abroad with him, it would be difficult to resolve the matter. Normal people would not choose to attack him when they were traveling together. Mr. Wang is not alone. He has a son, a grandson, and a great-grandson. If he is alone, he will be desperate. If something unexpected happens to Zhang Junlin, he will think about how many lives his family will have to pay to settle the bill. No, so stupid, maybe there is an internal need and the dispatch is normal. Lu Ziwen is not worried about Zhang Junlin's safety at all. Mr. Wang may have his own plan, but they haven't figured it out yet. Ji Huan only dared to say something to Lu Ziwen. "Third master, tell me, if I leave my brother, will everything be in peace for him?" Lu Ziwen, "Why don't you ask Zhang Junlin?" Ji Sun. "Then he wouldn't dare, his brother would beat him." Lu Ziwen saw that he was in love and couldn't help but said, "Get out. Don't dazzle him in front of his eyes, annoying." Ji Sun quickly left and took Rong Li to New Year's Day. "To make up for the regret of watching a movie alone on Christmas, I will go to the movie with you tonight." Rong Li smiled but said, "I understand. Go away. I don't want to watch a movie with you. Others will look at us like a pair of gays." "Really?" Ji Xian looked at Rong Li critically and shook his head. "No, I don't think you are worthy of me. Don't think that after you return to China, you will be as thick-skinned as the Great Wall." Rong Li looked at him with disgust. "Let's find a place to watch the moon." Ji Sun was stunned for a moment. "It's January 1st, what moon are you looking at?" Lu Ziwen couldn't bear it anymore. "You too, why don't you make up for our Chinese culture? In our tradition, saying that the moonlight is so beautiful, and looking at the stars and the moon together is a hidden confession." Rong Li. Lu Ziwen was too lazy to take care of these two living treasures. The Zhang family went to Haikan for vacation one day early. Lu Ziwen took Gu Ziyu back to the Lu family mansion to have dinner with Lu Ziyi on New Year's Day. They also spent the afternoon at the Lu family mansion and went to the hospital in the evening. In the hospital, Chen Liangdong came to pick up Chen Lianjie from the hospital. Chen Lianjie still had a dark face. Gu Si responsibly told him to stay in a good mood, avoid spicy food, avoid alcohol, and avoid blowing wind, and it would take at least half a month. Then she prescribed a sky-high price for medicine, and Chen Lianjie doubted which medicine she prescribed was more expensive. Chen Liangdong and North didn't plan to have a wedding, so they invited friends and family to have a meal together. It happened to be the New Year, so they took North and Qinwan to meet their 7 aunts and 8 aunts. Qinwan hated this kind of entertainment the most, and for the sake of the newly released father I held my nose and endured it. Chen Lianjie's family was quite critical of his marriage, including Chen Lianjie's wife, who felt it was very sudden and had a different status. However, they welcomed and loved Qinwan very much. The Chen family has always played well with double standards, especially Chen Lianjie's wife. This strong woman has wanted to have a daughter for her whole life, but unfortunately, due to family planning, Chen Lianjie's status does not allow her to have a second child, so she especially likes Qinwan. Because of Qinwan, Chen Lianjie's attitude was a little better. North secretly complained to Chen Liangdong. "Is this considered the mother is more valuable than the daughter?" Chen Liangdong chuckled. He and Chen Lianjie had such high status that their 7 aunts and 8 aunts would not look down on North. Moreover, North's external identity was a professor at University A. He had published medical journals and had his own research patents. She was not someone they could criticize. She and Chen Liangdong were reunited after their first love, and it was not a flash marriage. Their daughter was already that old, so the relatives quickly accepted it. Qinwan received countless red envelopes and jewelry. One night, she added the names of more than a dozen relatives to WeChat, and she put them into a group. Gu Si only had one operation in the afternoon. After finishing her work, she was doing ward rounds and communicating with her family members. But for some reason, her eyelids kept twitching. She has never been superstitious, but she felt a little uneasy for no reason. After the ward rounds, Gu Si had some time to video chat with Lu Ziwen. Now her eyelids twitched and she felt that something was going to happen to Lu Ziwen. Lu Ziwen was drinking tea and playing chess with Lu Ziyi. "Where is Ziyu?" "He's climbing a tree," Lu Ziwen said with a chuckle. "There are several birds' nests on the phoenix tree at the door, and he insists on climbing up to see them." Li Zhang found a ladder from the annex building and came over. Gu Ziyu climbed up the tree and was looking at the bird's nest. He also took a short video and posted it on WeChat. He didn't know what kind of bird it was. This old phoenix tree hatched many birds every year. There were many birds in their nests. Gu Ziyu also picked up 2 eggs. He originally wanted to put them in his pocket and cook them, but Li Zhang said, "Young master, don't yell at other people's birds. The mother bird will see you when she comes back. I'll be very sad if my egg is gone. Oh. Guzio was good and put the egg back again. Guzi couldn't laugh or cry when she heard their conversation. I may be very busy tonight, are you sure you want to come celebrate the New Year with me? We'll spend the New Year's Eve with you and then go home. Okay, slow down on that road. Don't worry, everyone is at home during the New Year and there will be no one on the road. Lu Ziwen said a few words and hung up the phone. Lu Shixiu originally wanted to come to the Lu family mansion to celebrate the New Year. He was very sensible and would come to greet Lu Ziwen during the holidays. Lu Ziyi was afraid of causing trouble to Lu Ziwen and did not let him come. Lu Shixiu gave the New Year gift to the housekeeper and did not come in. The father and son had dinner at Lu's house. They packed a few of Guzi's favorite meals and snacks and put them in an insulated box. They got up and went to the hospital. The hospital was still very busy at this time. Lu Ziwen took Guziu to the lake to watch the fireworks. The lakeside in Sitia was crowded with people during the New Year's Eve, and special police were dispatched. Lu Ziwen never joined in the fun. Guziu usually stayed at home and didn't like to move around. In fact, he preferred lively things in his heart. In his last life, he was socially anxious, didn't like to socialize with others, and his brain circuitry was different from that of normal people. Everyone he saw was full of malice. If he was unhappy, he would make the whole world unhappy with him. Nowadays, I am a typical child, but I still like this kind of lively festival in my heart. Li Zhang frowned and looked at the crowd, and suggested tactfully, Third Master, let's find a place with fewer people. Kono is most afraid of crowds. The Third Master doesn't like liveliness, so he rarely goes to crowded places. Back then, the Third Master loved the excitement, but he didn't have time to play. He spent all his time on training and racing. Come and take a peek at Guzi. Guzi bought a marshmallow on the street and followed the crowd happily with the marshmallow. Fireworks started to be set off at the lake at 10 o'clock and continued until 12 o'clock. Lu Ziwen was 2 steps behind Guzi and frowned. Is there an outdoor restaurant by the lake? If you can see the view, there is no need to crowd with tourists downstairs. I've already called to make arrangements. Li Zhang called to make arrangements before they went out. As soon as Lu Ziwen finished speaking, his cell phone rang. Li Zhang answered the phone and hung up after saying a few words. Third Master, yes, the place is empty. There is a restaurant upstairs that has cleared its customers and we have reserved the place. Okay, let's call Ziyu. Lu Ziwen looked forward, but he couldn't see Ziyu anymore. Li Zhang said, Third Master, someone is following the young master. It's okay. Call him. Okay. Just as Li Zhang was about to make a call, a scream suddenly came from the front, blood, killing people, killing people. Then there were crowds running around and screaming. The riverside was always crowded. Once an emergency occurred and the crowd panicked, it would be easy for a stampede to occur. Lu Ziwen frowned. Just as he thought this, a stampede happened. A 6-year-old girl fell to the ground, and the fleeing crowd stepped over her. The girl burst out crying. Lu Ziwen frowned, pushed away the crowd, and helped the little girl up. The crowd almost knocked them down together. Fortunately, Lu Ziwen the bottom plate was stable and he could stand upright. Lu Ziwen turned his head and said in a deep voice, Go find Ziyu. Special police and security personnel came immediately to maintain order at the scene, but the crowd was still running around in panic. Yes. Li Zhang brought 4 guards out. 2 of them followed Guziu, and 2 of them followed him to protect Lu Ziwen. Just as he was about to call the guards, his cell phone rang. Li Zhang breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the number. But as soon as he answered the phone, his expression changed drastically. Third Master, it was the young master who was stabbed by someone, right in front. Lu Ziwen threw the little girl beside him to a guard and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The security guards had surrounded the scene. Gu Zhiu curled up and lay on the ground, blood flowing all over the ground. Lu Ziwen's feet went weak. He almost fell down and was stopped when he was about to go in. Lu Ziwen punched the person away. "He is my son." Lu Ziwen knelt beside Zhiu and placed his tremblingly next to the pulse. The pulse almost stopped. The guard stood beside him, unusually at a loss. "Third master, Lu Feng went to chase someone, we..." Lu Ziwen didn't have time to listen to his explanation. He turned over Zhiu and found that Gu Zhiu was unconscious. There was a knife stuck on his waist and abdomen, and his head was covered in cold sweat. The knife pierced his down jacket, and the blood dyed the white down jacket red. "Sir, we have called an ambulance, don't worry," the security guard reminded him. People were running around Lu Ziwen constantly, taking pictures. Lu Ziwen picked up Gu Zhiu. Zhiu had no time to wait for the ambulance. Lu Ziwen said, "Call Gu Ci." "Yes." Lu Ziwen picked up Gu Zhiu, and the guards were leading the way. Just after turning a corner, Lu Ziwen hugged Gu Zhiu and disappeared from everyone's sight. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 640. Chapter 640 Lu Ziwen, I'm so scared. When Gu Ci received the call from Conway, it was like a thunderbolt. She held the phone tightly, her mind went blank for a moment. After 3 seconds of silence, she asked, "Where exactly was it stabbed? How long has it been? How is Zhiu's blood loss condition?" She turned around and asked the nurse to immediately free up an operating room and prepare plasma. Gu Zhiu did not have a special blood type, and the hospital's blood bank had sufficient reserves of blood. After she hung up the phone, she asked the nurse at the station to ask about the gastroenterology and general surgery department. "There is no doctor on duty, so come to the operating room, just in case." Gu Ci's hands were shaking constantly. She tried to stabilize her mind. "Gu Ci, you can't panic, you can't panic. If you panic, what will Zhiu do? It's okay, calm down." She quickly rushed to the sink, washed her face, and put on sterile clothes. In less than 3 minutes, Lu Ziwen appeared on the top floor of the hospital with Zhiu in his arms. He hurried downstairs with Gu Zhiu in his arms. When they met Gu Ci, Lu Ziwen's body was covered with Gu Zhiu's blood, and his waist and abdomen were all covered with Gu Zhiu's blood. Gu Ci felt heartburning at the first sight and quickly sent Gu Zhiu to the operating room. Gu Zhiu's breathing was very weak. Gu Ci quickly cut off his clothes. Gu Zhiu was still wearing a sweater under his down jacket and a thermal underwear under the sweater. All 3 layers of clothing were pierced. Gu Zhiu's down jacket was pierced. Ci glanced at the electrocardiogram and felt that her vision went dark. If she pulled out the knife in this situation, Zhiu would definitely stop breathing. "Dr. Gu," the head nurse reminded her. Gu Ci took a deep breath. "Prepare for electric shock first aid." "Yes." Gu Zhiu stopped breathing 3 times, and the longest one time was 3 minutes. Even the head nurse felt that she could not be saved. Gu Ci did not give up and used electric shocks herself, and kept shouting Zhiu's name. "Zhiu, mother is here, and father is also outside. Don't leave, don't go back." Gu Ci was filled with fear and no longer dared to guess why Zhiu became like this. She just wanted to desperately keep Zhiu. But his electrocardiogram was just a straight line, announcing his vital signs. Gu Ci's hands became extremely steady because he was holding the instrument, and he kept giving Gu Ci electric shocks. "Zhiu, don't leave me, do you hear me?" Gu Ci's sweat and tears fell into her mask. "What's the use of studying medicine? It can't save her son. It can't save her son." Lu Ziwen's ears were very good and he could hear every move in the operating room clearly, and he also heard the sound of Gu Ci's collapse. "Is your son unable to come back after being rescued?" Lu Ziwen leaned against the wall in despair and closed his eyes. His phone was vibrating. He had no time to take care of it. His mind was filled with Gu Ziyu's voice and smile. Why did he take Gu Ziyu to watch the fireworks? Why did he take Gu Ziyu there? In a crowded place, why didn't he protect Ziyu, and why did he let Ziyu out of his sight? Endless regret could not save Ziyu. He was lying on the operating table, not breathing. On the way to send Gu Ziyu away, he was out of breath. Lu Ziwen's face was close to Gu Ziyu's face, and he could feel that his skin was getting colder and colder, and his vitality was dissipating little by little. Ziyu, he remembered that ridiculous prophecy. He is destined to live a lonely life without a wife or children. Fate will automatically correct itself if there is an accident, but Ziyu is not an accident. He can laugh, cry, and lose his temper. He is a living person. He is willing to trade his own life for Ziyu to live a long life. The operating door opened and the head nurse hurriedly came out and took the plasma that the nurse brought over. However, Gu Ziyu still had no reaction at all. The head nurse looked at the unchanged electrocardiogram and felt sorry for the collapsed Gu Ziyu. Everyone paid attention. When Gu Ziyu talked about her mother, they were all surprised that Gu Ziyu had such an old son, and felt sorry for Gu Ziyu who collapsed. They have been working together with Gu Ziyu for so long, and they are impressed by Gu Ziyu's medical skills. As long as it is a project that Gu Ziyu participates in, the team honor must be indispensable. No matter what kind of complex operation, she can handle it easily. She has met Gu Ziyu before. With such a collapsed appearance, the person lying on the operating table must be a very important person to her. Dr. Gu, the patient, is gone. No, he won't leave me, he won't leave me. Gu Ziyu gave Gu Ziyu an electric shock and performed cardiac resuscitation like crazy. She would not give up, and she would never give up. Dr. Lin from the gastroenterology department couldn't bear to see her like this. Dr. Gu. He is alive. He's alive. The nurse who had been paying attention to the electrocardiogram said excitedly, he has a heartbeat. Prepare for the operation, Gu Ziyu said in a deep voice. After the madness passed, she became surprisingly calm. Doctors are originally racing against the god of death. You are more persistent and crazy than the god of death, so you can a life back from him. Lu Ziwen felt relieved when he heard that there was no sound or crying inside. Li Zhang came relatively late and notified Ji Sun, asking Ji Sun to handle the follow-up matters. The news on the internet must be suppressed. Lu Ziwen's the face was so conspicuous that he must have been recognized, and a group of people recorded the video. Li Zhang was so angry that he went crazy. The young master was stabbed and lying in a pool of blood. What was there to record? A group of people actually recorded the video. Ji Sun intercepted more than 40 videos, all from different angles. Yes, Ji Sun and Rong Li were clubbing together. When they heard the news, they returned to Universal. According to Li Jiang's news, Ziyu's condition was not very good. After Ji Sun dealt with the news online, he went with Rong Li Hospital, and sent the news to Zhang Junlin on the way without alerting other members of the Zhang family. Zhang Junlin had just landed and turned on the phone. He wanted to report to Ji Sun that he was safe, but he received a message from Ji Sun and stopped. Lao Wang asked, "What's wrong?" Zhang Junlin said calmly, "It's nothing. I want my family to report that I'm safe." The weather in Saudi Arabia was very hot, and a gust of hot air hit his face, but Zhang Junlin felt a little sweat on his back. As soon as the wind blew through Lengjinjin, Ziyu must be safe. At that moment, many thoughts flashed through his mind. Who did it? Did Mr. Wang bring him to Saudi Arabia on purpose so that he could attack his opponent? No, Ziyu is the best move to contain him in Qiuan. There is no need for him to touch Ziyu. He is not alone. If Ziyu dies, his death will do him no good at all. Zhang Qiang received real-time news from Nick. The young master has stopped breathing 3 times. He is still being rescued. The situation is not that optimistic. It's not optimistic, I'm afraid I won't survive. Zhang Junlin felt like his whole body was soaked in ice water, and even the scorching wind in Saudi Arabia couldn't warm his body. I know. He couldn't buy a ticket to go back immediately. Zhang Junlin closed his eyes and could only wait for news. Such a big matter cannot be hidden from anyone. Dr. North and Chen Liangdong received the news almost at the same time. Zhang Junlin was not in the country and Gu Xi was in the hospital. North was in charge of the Jidao, and no one thought that Ziyu was in trouble. After talking to Chen Liangzhu, Chen Liangdong brought Dr. North and Qin Wan to the hospital. The situation of being stabbed this time was different from the last time I defended Chen Liangdong from the knife. That time it was a flesh wound, but this time it was stabbed directly into the pancreas and almost penetrated. If it weren't for wearing more clothes in winter, including a down jacket and a sweater. And he also wore thermal underwear. A young man was dressed warmer than an old man. This stabbing would kill him immediately. There was no time to send him to the hospital. But even if he didn't die on the spot, he wouldn't be breathing if he waited for the ambulance to arrive. It was Lu Ziwen who teleported and sent him to the operating room in 3 minutes. Without wasting the golden treatment time, Gu Ziyu was pulled back from the gate of by Gu Xi. But the pancreas was seriously injured, and it was not optimistic. Even after the operation, it still depends on the recovery situation. The person did not wake up in the ICU. Gu Xi was a little exhausted after the operation. She was sitting on the ground leaning against the wall, unable to regain consciousness. Gu Ziyu's 3 respiratory arrests left her heartbroken and it was difficult for her to catch her breath. Lu Ziwen came in and sat next to her. Gu Xi said nothing and leaned on his arm, holding on to Lu Ziwen without taking off the gloves. Lu Ziwen, I'm so scared. Lu Ziwen is not afraid. He is also afraid that Gu Ziyu will leave suddenly. Fortunately, the child has a strong desire to survive. He will be fine, don't be afraid. End of this chapter.